Okay, so we're gonna, is it recording now?
It said recording in progress.
There you go. Okay, good. So now can somebody else talk about where your relationship is with food?
It's better.
In what way?
Well, I don't throw my nose up like I used to and stuff, except the Tempe. But, you know, like I always tell Lisa, if I'm at her house, and she'll say, this has this, and it has that. And I'm like, don't tell me, because I won't eat it. But now I find like I'm slowly, not straight, but slowly more open.
Okay, so you've become more open-minded to
Yeah.
try
Eating-
new things,
right.
and that's
Things that
great.
have a lot of fiber and, you know,
Uh-huh, yeah.
and then
And you've been doing so good tracking and
Well,
really just doing amazing.
not last week, but I was.
Well, you were,
busy. What's the thing, the carbohydrates and the fiber like, what is it? The fiber takes away some of the carbs.
the
when I
fiber
eat.
slows down the absorption
Oh,
of the
right.
carbohydrates, so your blood sugar doesn't spike.
Right. So
And that's the key,
helping
right?
me
We
too.
all want to
Yeah.
know that. I don't care diabetic or not, it's
Right.
really important because you want to
Yeah.
lose weight, you're never gonna lose weight when your blood sugar
Yeah.
is over 100.
Right.
That'd be
So
really hard.
that's, yeah.
That's great. Anybody else? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I used to have a very close relationship with processed foods. And now I rarely see them. They don't call, they don't visit.
Really, and your car doesn't just drive
It
into
doesn't
the job.
anymore.
Oh
We
my
can't.
gosh, what a great, that's big.
And
joy.
I've gone into Dollar General like twice in the last couple months for like birthday card kind of stuff. And I just go boom and boom, in and out.
But don't you see when she walked in today, you saw that she looked younger, right?
Yeah,
And
they
you
said
do,
that,
like,
yes.
you are just glowing. Like, I think you guys broke up and like, it's like really working out for you. Like, I can't wait to
Broke up
see
with
that.
this
I'll come and
person.
sit back and see
Oh.
you guys, like, George, you look
It
good.
wasn't Swedish fish too or something.
Oh, that was on there. on the
Yeah.
list,
That was-
Gummy stuff, all kinds of gummy
Right.
things.
She was dating a lot of them.
Yeah.
Pepperidge Farm. I played the field. Yeah, the process field.
That's great. Anybody else want to share? It's not mandatory, but if you wanted to share.
So I think I'm more just a Whole Foods kind of person now. I don't feel good if I'm not getting Whole Foods in, more so of that.
Yeah, and that's great. Like I like to look at it as I'm eating God's foods, right? Like it just to me, it just makes sense instead of me eating foods that are like, really not designed for human consumption. And that leads me into like, when we make peace with food, like that's where we treat this body as it's like, it's a temple of our soul. And it's a really, to me, a better way of, so when I'm putting things in my mouth, it's supporting my body. And like we were just talking about Joanne, it, helps give you that nice glow. Which is, Kiara, you okay?
Yeah, it just.
So I'd love to hear all of your differences of how you view food and how the relationships have changed. Now, is there anything that we want to talk about? Like, because I want to make sure we address that, do you notice when you don't have a peaceful relationship with food? Are there still times that you find it's challenging?
Sure.
Sure.
Yep. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
found,
true.
Gordon? I know you can't see me. Something I found recently is I've been eating like pretty good for 3 years now since I've met you. Pretty whole food, not a lot of processed and all. But like lately I binged a couple times, and after I did that, my body like really reacted. And I was grateful because I never had that kind of reaction before. I used to think, oh, I wish I would like get sick if I ate too much chocolate or, and I never had any kind of like overly sick feeling.
That's great.
Any of
You
that
would
bad
say
food.
that to me. I never noticed anything.
Anything, I can eat whatever.
Yeah.
But now when I do eat, and I don't just mean a couple of gummy bears, but if I eat like a whole package of something that I'm not supposed to, my body's like, no, it's thrown all out of whack. And I even have like leg cramps, like severe during the night if I eat like a bunch of sugar before I go to bed.
Oh.
And that never used to happen. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
because I'm so healthy now, when I do.
So
that,
you're
it
able
really
to-
reacts.
Yeah, I like to think about it, it's like you're so tuned in, your vibrations like here, and then when it lowers down, you're not comfortable here, right? Like you really like to be up there and you're just used to, that's great.
Right.
Okay,
I was just gonna say, a lot of what Joanne said, I'm doing the no processed foods, but my relationship at the grocery store. I mean, I'll just go, oh, and I'll put that back on the shelf after I read the ingredients and something like, oh my goodness. I'm not gonna buy that. And I never would have thought that
Yeah.
before, oh, that has corns, oh. You just put it back on the shelf. But I mean, I might have read a little, but I mean, now I like look at everything, even in Trader Joe's, like, most of the stuff in Trader Joe's is okay, but some of it,
thank you, that's great, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that is another, it's relationship with actually what you're thinking about your body, and just like we talked about last week, you're thinking about the earth, right? You're thinking about the environment, and what you eat has an impact on that, right? So that's really, really great. Anybody else want to talk about, like, and I'm asking you to be a little vulnerable, like, where are you getting mucked up when you're talking about food? We just talked a little bit about binging. Anybody wanna?
I'll go. I think, I still have issues in social situations. Like I went to a Super Bowl party and I didn't overindulge, but I realized that I was like eating just because it was there in front of me.
Yep.
Where I really need to work on that, so that's still probably an issue where I have a problem.
Me too.
It's like a habit or something, you
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
Mindlessly eating.
Yeah.
I have a problem when I do well, but then when I get derailed, like on Super Bowl, then it's hard for me, like the next morning, I don't get up and get right back to doing, like, making healthy choices. It like lingers, like I just can't, I just have a problem getting back on track once I have a day like that. Then I have a problem getting back.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
almost like I'm better off for myself to stay like 100% focused and really try not to allow myself to, have a special treat or get derailed or have a drink, or because then I just kind of snowball it.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if that happens, the Super Bowl is gonna happen, and you have a tendency of having trouble getting back on, would it help if you say Saturday or Friday, you planned for Monday morning, having a really still delicious something? Maybe it's a special type of oatmeal, or maybe it's an oatmeal bar or baked oatmeal, and you put a couple chocolate chips in it, still healthy, but and then, you have your lunch packed, so you've already planned for it. So
That's a great idea. That's a terrific idea. That really is. So that it's already, I don't have to think about it. That's a wonderful idea.
I agree.
And then, like, for you, Jen and Dawn and Janine, that I heard talking about the social situation. We have three choices when we go to a social situation. We can choose to be mindless, right? And just let whatever happens, let the wind blow us this way and that way, right? So it could be like, basically that's a weight gain day. It could be, I plan for weight maintenance. I'm going to go in here mindfully. I'm going to assess the situation, and I'm going to choose what I really want, and I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to indulge in one or two things. And if I really like it, I'm going to give myself permission, right, to have more. And then you could be like the Lisa, I'm going to have a weight loss day, and I'm only going to eat the carrots and the hummus that I brought, and that's that, right? You get to choose. But the real reality is, when we go to these holiday parties, or this is our culture, right? Super Bowl is something. If we were going to tell another country of a special event, we would say Super Bowl food is an event, right? It is a holiday for us Americans. So the idea of going and eating the hummus and the carrots, I don't know, to me, it doesn't sound real reality wise, right? Like, I think you can plan, but just going, knowing that there's gonna be this and this and this, and I'm gonna have a taste of it, or I'm gonna, instead of, because basically, if you don't have a plan, you're just mad at yourself. You're not feeling good. Like, what day is it now? We're still talking about it. I mean, obviously we brought it up, but Wednesday, right? That was Sunday, right? And then some of us are getting on the scale and seeing, yeah. But if we know, hey, Super Bowl is coming, these are my favorite things, I'm gonna eat them. When you allow yourself to do that with ease, you tend not to overdo it. You just tend not to. And then I love what Joanne says. This is like always mine. How am I going to feel in the past when I had that many pieces of pizza?
Right.
When I had, all of that cheese and, whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure. Everybody has a different Super Bowl party thing. But can I just hear where that landed on you?
I really felt sick, like physically sick.
So do you think of that now? And it
Oh,
keeps you
yeah.
from eating?
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. I don't think for me, it keeps me from eating, because, I wish it did. I wish it had that effect on me. Because I think, like I said before, I guess I'm emotionally immature or something, because it tastes good, so I still want to eat it. Even though I know I'm not gonna feel good later, or sometimes I won't.
You're willing to risk it.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes I feel like I shouldn't even go because there are too many temptations.
Oh,
If I'm feeling really strong, I can go and just eat the carrots and the hummus,
right.
but that's not.
Right, and we don't want to
Yeah.
ever have life be like that. And I'm gonna tell you, I know there's so many people that come in my office that I see that don't live their life because they're uncomfortable in their skin. They isolate, they say no to their friends, right? Like, they just don't go and do anything. I don't think that's healthy, right? So if you're still struggling with that, like, still go to the party and eat the food because it tastes good, because it happens once a year, once again.
Right.
Same with birthday parties. It's one day, it's
Yeah,
one
but it's
meal.
not, if you add them all up, that's the thing. It's not once a year. If it was, that would be no big thing for anybody, but. Every month, every week, you have a party, somebody's birthday, everybody wants to go out to eat all the time. Nobody does anything but go out to eat in my social
That's
world.
right.
Eating, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's all
and
messed
and
up.
yes, if I could go out to eat and just order a salad, and a lot of times I had that intention that I'm just gonna order, a salad. And for example, Sunday birthday party at the Outback. Well, you know how much I loved it there, first of all. But I wound up ordering 2 sides, but one of the sides was mac and cheese. I should have had the baked potato. It probably would have been a lot healthier for me, like a baked potato and broccoli instead of mac and cheese and broccoli.
So do you have to take time to pause and think about, where you want to go and, what your week look like? Are you, because you are social, like,
Mhm, yeah.
do you do that? Because, nobody can indulge all the time, right?
No, right.
You know what helps me is my dad now, because I look out for him
Mhm.
more even than I look out for myself in my eating. So he wants to go out to eat. I'm like, let me look it up online and look up the menu. I find him like 3 of the healthiest things that have low sodium, says big deal. So
Mhm.
like, you can have this, or this, that, or if you have this meal, you get the sauce on the side, or don't eat the bread, or, I do all that for him. I mean, it helps me too, but I focus on him.
Yeah.
So, but if you do that and look up the menu and really identify the stuff ahead of time.
Well, a
if
lot
you
of
know where you're
times
going.
too, and Georgia can relate to this, a lot of times too, being vegetarian means you can pretty much only have a salad when you go to a restaurant, and that's boring. Salad's boring, so you get mac and cheese in a salad or whatever, and that's, so. Depends what kind of restaurant you go to, but typically American restaurants, or if it's an Italian restaurant, eggplant parmesan, it's probably like a gazillion calories, something like that.
Right, but the thing is, we don't have to eat all the
Yeah,
macaroni and cheese.
yeah.
We don't have to eat all
Right.
the eggplant parm.
Right.
That is the next thing, is to eat what you want, but we have to like learn. and that's what we'll talk about in a few minutes, is to be able to listen to what this body, this temple body wants to eat,
And
right?
I do that typically now. That's something that I guess I've changed in the last couple of years. I typically bring at least half of it home.
That's
So
great.
I pay attention to when I'm full and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So.
That's awesome. So you're eating what you want, right? And I think that's awesome. You know, to be able to figure out what it is that I like. Okay, anybody else want to share? Okay. This thing doesn't like to. So basically, every day we get a chance to make a lot of decisions about food, right? But we also make a lot of other decisions in a day. We're making, it's depending on our day, if we're working or working on a project, you know, we get to make a ton of decisions. That's why when we're really focusing on our health and our well-being, we need to put that into the plan. How are we going to fit our food and what's going to work for us in that mode? If we're doing a lot of heavy work, let's just say, you know, Night to Shine, for example, that was probably, you know, a lot. So you probably needed some more grounding type of food, right? We have to tune into what it is that we need. Probably weren't eating a lot of salads, like maybe but it wasn't like just a real light salad, right? You wanted to be to be a bit grounded and to be satisfied to be able to do that heavy lifting of what you needed to accomplish. So that, keeping that in mind, the same thing, if you ever decide to do a detox, right? When you're thinking about doing it, you got to plan, like Denise says, life has a lot of social gatherings in my world. Where is that going to fit? So you look in January, or even now it's February, look, where is this going to fit into this year? Because we know that when we detox at least once a year or twice a year, we're going to allow our body to be able to take in all that good antioxidants, right? To be able to clean out the stuff that's causing cellular damage, right? That eventually can cause more inflammation or damage to organs or cancer, right? There's so many things. That's why it's so important, you know, so I hope that you all realize that, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, it can be for a week, right? That you really clean up, but we want to schedule it and make peace with it when it's going to work in our lives, right? Not, you know, right now would not be the time for me to go on a detox. You know, some people would disagree, but I think my body's on way too much stress for me to go on that. Like Janine told me about Josie Kelly's has a vegetarian shepherd's pie. That's my comfort food. I'm hoping Saturday I'm going to get to Josie Kelly's and have that shepherd's pie, right? I'm looking forward to that, right? Yeah, right now, peanut butter and jelly, you all know me, it's a comfort food. I had that for lunch today. Super happy to have that. You know, you have to listen to what works for you, you know, but did I have the peanut butter and jelly by itself? No, I had a green smoothie with it, right? So it had, you know, 3 grams of fiber in that. So, you know, we want to be able to listen, because of course, yes, I want to eat comfort food where I'm going through all this stress, but I also want to take care of my body so my neurotransmitters are firing properly, so I don't stay depressed. I'm not saying that I don't believe that food is going to make me, I'm always happy through this process. But what I'm saying is we want to be able to nurture what I know is I need to nurture my body. I know that 80% of my feel-good hormones are made in my belly. So I have to still put good foods in my body, but still have the foods that are going to make me feel comfort and as I go through this journey. And that's what we all need to focus on. Jen, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we want to keep in mind, like when we're talking about making peace with food, we want to think about mindfully eating and being aware of the nourishment that it provides, right? So because sometimes food, honestly, can be an addiction. It can be an escape, right? It can be those things and we want to eventually get to that place that food is not that, you know, it is really, it's about nourishing. Yes, it can provide comfort, but it doesn't mean it's that thing to tune out. And because again, if we use it like that, we're never going to be healthy, right? And we're never going to have that freedom. I believe that those of you that know me, like this program first started, it's called Foodom, right? Freedom. It's really important to have, being able to have that in our lives with food. We want to be able to enjoy food so it's enjoyable. We want it to taste good. And we don't want to judge ourselves if we do have, I don't know, a gummy bear, right? Like eventually, honestly, I'll promise you there will be a day and you'll be like, yeah, I don't even like those gummy bears anymore. Like it just, I don't have the taste for it anymore. And that will happen. Like I think Joanne felt last year, like, I just can't knock this freaking Dollar General. I just don't know what the heck's going on. And she just kept going and she just kept doing, and now eventually it's not there anymore. Does that mean that it might not come back into it? No, life is like that. But she's keeping, on her intentions, right? Now her intention is, it's a higher good, right? It's like life is about, we want to take care of ourselves, but eventually we want to have what we decide to do for service of greater for more, right? Not outside of ourselves. And that's, like you said, that's where you've operated. Now it's no longer about you. It's I'm serving more and more and more. And my father is that's a great motivator, right?
Oh my gosh, when I serve him turkey burgers that I make with zucchini. And he's like, I can't taste the zucchini. And I'm like, good. And I put stuff in everything I give him. And like the meatloaf has all kinds of veggies in it, the turkey meatloaf. So it feels good that I'm helping
Yeah.
him, even though he's not like consciously getting
Can
it.
I move in with you?
And then the other key thing, which we'll talk about a little bit more, is learn to honor when you're hungry and actually eat. There's like, I feel like a lot of people in our age group and a little bit older, like have that mentality that when we eat less food, we're being good. When we eat too much food, we're being bad, right? Like, and it's not really about that. We want to be able to eat when our body's hungry at a nice, like, not when we're like ready that we could eat a whole elephant. We want to eat when we're just comfortably, yeah, it's time for me, I'm starting to feel hungry. I'm going to start to eat in the next hour. You start to unwind what you're doing. So you eat, because I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you think you are and how disciplined and committed you are. When you go and you eat at a 10, you're going to want to eat different foods than you had originally planned when you made your food decisions. It's not going to be good enough. You're going to think you deserve more because I haven't eaten all day, where you forgot that you had like 3 other things, right? Like those are things that really truly happen. But so we want to really learn to honor that. I'm hungry, it's time to eat. That's your body telling you. The more we can learn, our bodies are wiser than we think, right? Remember, that's the way it is. And then being able to understand when I've had enough. Janine was saying it very well. I've that can bring half of it home. Well, now I live alone. I know what that's like, yeah, I could have another meal. That's great, and sometimes like an eggplant parm might be something that you tend to not really want to eat. Now you got to see all the fat. You're like, it was good, but I don't really want it, that's, and you might run into that, but at least you didn't put it like in your body. Remember Holly used to say, like, using your body as trash, right? You don't want to do that either. Let's go to the next thing. So this is like our mindful eating cycle. Why do I eat? When do I want to eat? What do I want to eat? How do I eat? Here, this to me is a really important component. I was driving in the ShopRite parking lot yesterday and I saw this woman, and she was a large size woman, and she's like, she just drove through the window, got it food from a window. First of all, we don't really ever want to get food from a window, right? Those aren't the foods that are going to nurture our bodies, right? Food from a window. I mean, unless if you really try to look and, there's a reason for it. But, and then you start eating that food while you're driving, right? Like that is not mindfully eating. Your body's not going to know, your brain's not going to know that you had that food. You're still going to be hungry. It's not necessarily the right food. So how you're gonna eat. The other thing is eating standing up in your kitchen, not the best thing for you, right? Like we want to think, can I sit down? Aiming not to have distracted eating, meaning you're on your phone, you're watching TV, you're, on the computer, trying to do, you will eat so much less because you want to get back to the TV or you want to get back to your computer than if you, use those types of things. How much I eat, let your body tell you how much you eat. If you're used to, you kind of kept your weight the same and you really haven't changed that much, work on taking what you're going to typically have, take 2 spoonfuls off, right? Maybe put it in the container. You can eat it later if you really need to, or you see if you can learn to eat a little bit less. That's an easy way because now you've mastered what to eat, but now let's work on how much without your body feeling deprived, right? And then where do I want to invest my energy? That's that back to that. Do I want to be 100% perfect? Do I want to be 75% eating really well, right? Honestly, I like the 75 much better. I feel good. I feel like I could still go out and have creme brulee if I want, right? I feel like I could have a chocolate cake. Like for example, so I had a piece of chocolate cake when I went and sold my car, and it took me 3 sittings to sit there and have that chocolate cake. So 3 evenings I got to have that chocolate cake, and it was amazing, amazing each and every time. I would rather spread it out than get it all over with, because if I get it all over with, just like we said, I'm going to feel gross. I'm going to feel not good in my body. I'm not going to want to wear cute clothes. I'm going to have heartburn. I'm going to it's just not going to, and then I'm going to be, oh, why'd you do that? You're just, and I beat myself up. So those are the things why we want to think about what we're eating. There's many reasons why. So I want to pause here and I want to just kind of hear your feedback onto, anything that we've talked about, just so we can all kind of get on that same page.
I have to work on not eating in front of the TV.
It's a good one.
At least I'm sitting now.
I was gonna ask, are you still standing?
No,
Good. well,
I'm sitting,
That's great.
but the TV is on.
Do you find that you tend to eat more since you're watching TV while you're eating, like not thinking? about food?
Probably, I don't think, yeah,
Mm,
I don't think about it,
mm.
yeah. So, gotta work on that.
You fix a plate. So you don't just have all the dishes on the table. You fix a plate and eat what's on your plate.
Yeah. So I have to put less on.
Anybody else want to share anything about the cycle, the mindful eating cycle?
Well, I think it's a really good visual. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking how it just kind of covers everything that's important. I think that's smart. I think that's good because it makes you think about each one of those steps.
You know what I think about a lot more now too, when I'm thinking about the eating, is the drinking. Like I really early on just like to drink a lot, when I ate, and I don't do that really as much anymore. Well, not hardly at all anymore. And like every night it would be like a glass of wine, and there were times where it could be a bottle of wine or whatever. And I used to really enjoy that with food, but it's not a big thing anymore. So that was
That's
pretty big for me. Yeah, that was big for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have to just say it out loud. I can't get myself to eat slowly.
Oh, no, me either.
I mean, my dad was always a fast eater, but I'm like done and he still has half his meal left. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I know it, I'm conscious of it. And after I eat, I'm like, should have gone slower, but I just don't do it. I'm just not ready, I guess. Not ready.
Exactly. And that's the key. That's the key thing. Remember, there's stages of readiness. We're all in different stages, like me. Like, let's be serious. It took me 5 years to leave my husband. Okay, let's just put it really. I wasn't ready. I spent $5,000 last year on a divorce attorney that I wasted because I wasn't ready. Right. So though I'm just putting that as a, it's fresh in my head. I can put where that meant, but eventually, look. So that there's a pre-contemplation. I was contemplating it, right? But I wasn't ready to take action, right? I was able to make a couple steps, but I really wasn't able to. We've done so many different things. The foods that eating fast will come. We don't have to put like the things are, if it's important for us to be healthy. Now, why is that from my perspective? Those of you know, I study the microbiome a lot and I do a lot of those tests. What I find with the people who eat fast is they're going to have undigested meat fibers and they're going to have undigested vegetable fibers. So now what does that mean? That our bodies aren't getting the nutrition that we ultimately need. Whether there might be other problems, but so there's so many reasons why we want to do that. Plus, when we eat fast, the brain, there's a signal, doesn't know that we actually ate it. It's going to take a little bit longer to have that fulfilled. I'm full, I'm satisfied, right? And so we'll talk about that in a second, but thank you. You will, I never, like women like you're all super committed and you're committed to the journey. And you, so like all these things, sometimes it might connect. You're like, yeah, I'm on that. Some of it you might really resist. You'd be like, oh, I don't know what the heck she's talking about. That's ridiculous, right? That careful. Those things that we resist the most is probably what we need the most. So just remember that. And then other things you like, yep, now, like Carol, like ever since I met her, really, really loved the grocery tour. She really, really got a lot out of that. And look, she's talking about now, and I'm a lot like Carol, like I make a lot of my decisions based on that. And then I'll eventually put them all back, forget it. I don't want any of that. It doesn't, because you, and then of course, you can use back in the day, Starbucks didn't have all those nutrition labels and you're like, oh, it's from Starbucks, it's fresh, and you're like, yeah, I got a chocolate chip cookie because you didn't know what's in it. But now you know exactly what's in those things and how much sugar and all of that. So yeah, we just kind of we already talked about mindless eating, so I'm not gonna, but yeah, try not to, yes, if you're striving and you're just having like, you're chewing on an apple, fine, and then, along the way, but try not to eat like a Whopper or French fries while you're driving, like be a little bit more mindful about that. Remember, this is like, I just want to move this one little thing, I bring this up. Freedom, right? Do we always deny or do we always indulge? So we want to kind of find balance, and each of us, our balance is going to be different at different stages of our lives. Like right now, I'm more leaning into I'll indulge if I want. I'm not being real, but I'm making sure I still put the good things in because I don't like being depressed. And I don't like being sad, right? But I'm not going to be like, oh, like normally I'm like, oh, my vegetables are filled. I have cauliflower and I have carrots in my refrigerator right now. That's what I have. I haven't gotten to the store.
I have more than you.
Exactly. But I'm not beating myself up
Yeah,
over
yeah,
that
yeah.
yet. I have some food coming on Friday, so I'll be good. And I probably have to go get something tonight. But my point is, you want to find that balance. And look, I want you just to take a moment and ask yourself, where am I in the spectrum right now? Am I leaning too far over in the indulging? So you want to find, where are you right now in your situation? Then we want to ask, once you get there, if you're always denying, does it work? How's that working for you?
Yeah, really.
Because I find that just never really worked out for me very well.
Does that cause binges if you always deny?
Exactly. Restricting, ends to be a bitch. It's pretty much 100% time. And that can even be in a day, right? People who don't eat enough breakfast or don't eat enough lunch, like, I don't know why, but I just overeat at night. Oh, you need to eat more during the day. It's kind of like simple stuff. But yeah, if we don't let ourselves, same thing, we take away carbohydrates, right? Like, I don't eat rice or pasta or bread, right? Well, on the weekend, I guarantee you're binging on those foods,
Or
like
chips.
You're right, and you'll say that you don't, but you will. And what is better? Like, what does the liver want? When we all talk about, our master organ, right? That detox, it does not like binges. It does not like binges. And if anybody here has ever known anybody to get bariatric surgery, or that's one of the hugest things that they want, is no weight gain right before. It's super important. So those binges, like that's why we as dietitians are there to see them 3 times, is really to help them not do that right before. It's really bad for us. So keeping that in mind, binging isn't good. It's not good for our psyche as women, first of all. Then we just, not good for that, but not good for the physical body either. So that's why, we got to find our balance. I think that's super important. And if we always indulge, what's the other thing? What happens when we always indulge?
Weight gain for one thing.
Yeah, weight gain, confidence is lowered, right?
Tired.
Exactly. Tired, lethargic. Yeah.
Yep.
So back to the hunger scale. So kind of just want you really to kind of really get this, ground this in. We kind of want to eat in the middle. No, this one is talking about when we've eaten enough. This is this one. So we want to be like, I've had enough. I'm satisfied. I'm not hungry anymore, but I'm not full. Hard place to get to. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's a really nice place. And yes, you might have to have a snack, in a couple of hours, afterwards, but at least you're trying. Like, it's important to just to see, because if you are desiring to be in a lighter sized body, that is one of the things that plays a role, is we have to learn that we're feel good. Plus, let's go look at number 10. Too full, feel sick, right? That's what Dawn said she felt. You feel uncomfortable, you got a stomach ache, right? That could be something else. Feel stuffed. Like, I don't know about you, but when I feel stuffed, I don't want to go out and do much.
No.
I'm kind of like, don't sit, when you might have wanted to do something, then no, I don't feel up for it. I feel right. So now you've not, that's when something becomes a problem. You're not doing something that you wanted. And that's when food has become slightly uncomfortable. That one you might play around with between 5 and 7 for a while. But that to me is golden. I think it's a great place to be. Slightly full, pleasantly full, right? That's where we want to get. Okay, so this scale is a little bit different. The beginning parts is like when we're hungry, you're shaking, your blood sugar is really bad, that's not a good place to be. So your stomach's starting to growl, beginning to feel hungry. So there's that's the beginning, and then there's the follow-up. Somebody might be. So yeah, once again, just finding that middle ground. So this is those hormones. Basically, these are hormones that are ruling our hunger and our satiety. So ghrelin is the hormone I'm hungry. It starts by the cells of the stomach. And then after eating, leptin says, I'm full, I've had enough food, right? And so that's where we want to happen. Sometimes leptin gets out of control, and that's where we call that leptin resistance. So I'll talk about that in a, some of you've heard this over and over again, but it's really important, because if leptin's out of balance, most likely your blood sugar is out of balance, and most likely you're having difficulty with weight gain or even weight loss. And sometimes that's happening where people are using a lot of diet sodas. I don't think it's you all, but I just want to, just definitely bring that in. Other things to focus on is like journaling, starting to really, I have to tell you, I was moving and I was going through and finding I had a lot of journals, but I was reading my journals from what year was that? 2000. And I was journaling all about my eating. So it's like you all, like, this is 23 years later. I was journaling me, and some of my affirmations were that I eat just enough, that I take care of myself, that I don't restrict. And so all this stuff, but that journaling got me to where I am now. And I think it's it's a really good place to be able to find that food freedom and to have that peace, but it takes work. I mean, yeah, that 2000 was a really, really tough time to get there, but what I just want to say is write down what you're thinking, where your difficulties are, where you want to go, whether it's eating slower or learning to not have too much of a certain type of food. What are you feeling? Why are you eating too? Why are you going there? Where are you missing out in your other part of your life that you're using food as an escape, right? How are you not caring for yourself in another way? Like food is to be a method to take care of you, to nourish you, but it's not there to have you be a drug, right? It's not that. And if it is, it's something that you want to like work on because like you're worth it. Because in my opinion, in that when I was looking at myself in 2000, it was all I thought about. I did not live my life. I had to raise these kids, but yet all I thought about was that I was obsessed, right? And we don't want to be that way either. We want to be able to have freedom to eat what we want, to live life, have activities that we want, not excessively exercising or excessively not eating, or we want to really be healthy and balanced. Slowing down, that's another one to think about. So really just way I go through these are ways I want you to think about how can I in this moment make peace with food. Is it one of these things? Stress eating, that's another one. That's a huge one. Like you just I'm fine if you can at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, stop everything you're doing and just breathe. Give yourself, you could call it meditation, or you could just say, I'm having a pause. And I'm just going to be here. Whether you go out and sit in your car and have the sun, find a spot, take 5 minutes. That's all you need. But that's a great time to reset those stress hormones. Huge, really important. Exercise, just making sure that you're moving your body, you feel better. Know your triggers and redirect, watch yourself. We get to know ourselves, right? We will continue to get to know ourselves. Sometimes it's somebody at work, sometimes it's somebody in, an organization or a family member, right? And that you tend to just sit there and you just keep your mouth chewing right around them, right? Or you're drinking with them, that could be something. Sometimes it's like stinking thinking, it's not even real. These are things that you've made up in your mind. You're worrying about something, and most of those times we worry about things that don't really happen, right? It's so true. Embrace your healthy eating. I think you all get that, right? Most of your plate, half your plate is going to have your vegetables, then you're going to have protein, you're going to have a healthy whole grain and fruit, a little bit of fat. That's what we want to just, we're asking our food to be comfort because it tastes good, but it fuels us, it nourishes us, it prevents disease, and it entertains us, right? It brings us together as people, right? Whether it's a couple, whether it's friends, whether it's families, it just brings us together. And that's important that it does that. And I think that I don't understand why as this culture, we strive to make such unhealthy foods that make people feel bad. Like it doesn't make sense. If you love somebody, why are you doing that? And I just keep inviting you just to keep thinking about Super Bowl's coming to my mind again, why not buffalo cauliflower, right? Like why not other things that really that are healthier.
And look at Thanksgiving. I mean, probably the original Thanksgiving meal was healthy.
Probably.
They were harvesting vegetables and stuff like that, but now it's garbage we serve.
Yep.
Pineapple stuff. Well, I think
And
They
the
do
sweet
the
potatoes with the marshmallows.
yeah, with the
on it.
marshmallows on them, even the green bean casserole. You take a nice vegetable like a green bean, you smother it in soup and.
Like so tons of
Yeah,
sodium.
My
yeah,
mother never
exactly.
made that, by the way, but I know a lot of families. do.
At least
Oh,
they're-
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
big
the
piece of-
staple.
Yep.
I was ranting recently about the salt shake. They should just have salt shakers on the table in restaurants. Don't put it all in the food,
Yeah.
like especially potatoes. It's
Agreed.
For my
I
dad.
think that's.
A potato is 13 milligrams of sodium. A potato,
Mm,
mashed potatoes, potato salad in a restaurant
yeah.
could be up to
Forget it.
1,000 in a cup.
Forget it.
Like, what?
Wow.
Adding so much sodium. to this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. I want to talk to
Because
the
the
owners
American
of the
palate, I
restaurants.
think.
Say, can you please, we can't have congestive heart failure patients here.
Mhm.
Right.
You're gonna kill them.
Yep. Trying to do that at.
Right, Carol?
Yes. But they don't care.
And then here's a key factor. A lot of, this is the part that sometimes people fall short on, is the motivation to go to the store, to wash the vegetables, to actually do it. I
It's a
can
lot of
see
work.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot. People go and they buy a whole bunch of stuff, right? I'm gonna get back on track, but then the next week they're throwing it back in the trash, right? So we want to like start slow, but really make sure that we can execute. So we can have those meals.
You don't throw it in the trash. You give it to Lisa Price for her chickens.
That's right.
Woohoo! There you go.
Yeah, I have to learn that because I'm feeling about my, like, if I don't eat food, I don't have a compost and I don't know what to do. And I was like literally hurting my heart. Like those are the things that I'm missing.
Yeah.
is
yeah.
my
I keep it in the
compost.
freezer till I can give it to Lisa.
Okay. All right, Lisa,
know
you
what,
ready for more
Jada?
compost?
What's that?
Are you ready for more compost?
Oh, yeah, always. Yeah. You know what? With all of the food that we need to prep, I just think it's really important that we cut ourselves a break when we need to, though. Like if we have to buy those cut up vegetables or frozen vegetables or whatever, like I just say just do it, just do it.
Agreed.
Throw it all together and call it a week,
Yeah, you're better off doing that than just not preparing or, planning correctly for the week. Yeah.
Oh my God. 'Cause speaking of that, I do a lot of peppers and onions, right? Cutting up the peppers and onions for various things. And my dad and I went out the other day for lunch. He got steak fajitas and I got chicken fajitas because it was a bar menu and that was like the healthiest thing. So they brought 4 tortilla shells with the skillet of all the sizzling stuff and then cheese, lettuce, tomato, right? So I told him, I said, if you just don't eat a lot of the cheese, you're okay, better than everything else on the menu. Well, of course, he has to eat all 4 tortillas because they're there. I'm like, afterwards, we talked about it and I said, just go in and split one now, as long as it's chicken, I don't eat the meat. But anyway, so once he was finished all his tortillas, there was still some peppers and onions and a little bit of steak left on the skillet. So I had some of mine left plus 1 tortilla. And so I said to the waitress, can you bring us 2 boxes? First, she said, can I just bring you one? And I'm like, I know I can't mix the meat with mine because I don't eat the steak. Okay. But first she said, she looked at my dad's skillet and she said, there's not much steak left there. Like, why would you want to take that home?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You bought it. It's yours.
And I'm like, that'll save me from having to cut. And my dad always sees me cutting all the stuff up. It takes hours to do all that. He
Right.
goes, yeah, that'll help you. So I don't have to cut all this up. Even this is a little bit, So
Exactly.
the next day I gave him a chicken burger with the peppers and onions and the little pieces of
That's
steak
great.
and it was
Yeah.
fine. Darn waitress.
Yeah, really.
It's
Inspector.
business.
But exactly, and that's the thing, once again, let's go back to where we were talking about getting to know ourselves, right? And knowing where we are. Like, I know I'm talking a lot about myself right now, but last week, I would never normally do this, but I ordered a meal prep service, so all my meals were there. So I had, these little shakes and just different salads and, I was able just to have food that I could just open and eat, and it was
Yeah.
super, super great. And that was what I knew that I would do instead of whether I didn't eat, right, or ate and that wasn't super healthy. So I love what Lisa, thank you for bringing that up.
was very wise to do.
Yeah. So back to like just some supplementation. Sometimes we forget, right? And honestly, like 2 days this week, I forgot to take my supplements in the morning, right? Would have been beneficial, but sometimes that happens. So don't forget about those. It is an important facet of supplementing, meaning it's a supplement to our healthy eating. I just showing these couple things, just if you are still having any trouble with not knowing when you're full. Core is a very good supplement for that. Super, it's actually really amazing. Bitter melon is something that they use to help balance blood sugar. There's in there. Chromium helps with blood sugar. But basically the Leptocore and the white kidney bean is really what helps, that those are resistant starches. So that's what's going to help the blood sugar from rising. So it will help keep you full. So that is something, if you have the bottle, because I know some of you have them and you talk about it,
Thank you.
take it, but you don't take it. Take it. It's a, something, eventually it will expire, but use it. It's something that can, it just, even if you take it, you get it, you take it 5 days a week, it's gonna be something that's gonna help you bring yourself closer to your goals.
Thanks for reminding
Does
me.
it need to be the 30 minutes before the meal?
It's 30 minutes. You can take it during the meal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally fine to take right then. And then, okay, yeah, so kind of told you, it will help you with your weight loss. But the key thing is it helps you know when you're satisfied, right? So I think it's a
Sneak it in my dad.
Sure.
you
Not really.
could, but let's talk about, no,
Check with the
I don't know all his, I don't
No,
know all his
do that.
medicine, so we. So you could see there's so many really good reasons about why it's a good product. There's also one called green coffee with Garcinia that helps with your mood, helps converting you're not having sugar convert to fat. So just another thing, helps with appetite, helps with blood sugar. Some people swear by this, like, my doctor, Dr. Varela, loves this product and he just thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. He's really, really into it. And I'm sorry, I don't really talk too much about it because I don't take those things. So it wasn't something I can really drive that home. CLA, that's another one that's really designed to help decrease the belly fat. And this is it's good for that, but it's only good if you're exercising regularly. Like it'll be great for Kim, right? Because she's very good at doing an hour and 45-minute exercise. But it does, but you have to take it for 90 days. It's like one of those things. So if you're just going to take it for 1 month, don't even bother. It's not going to. This research states that it's like around week 10 that you start to see the results. So I love these adrenal supports, these adaptogenic herbs. There's Axe and there's Bliss. I mean, there's also many other ones too, but if you're having a lot of stress and you notice you're having trouble losing weight, these are something like right now, this is something I don't miss. I take this, I'm taking a lot of this because I'm going through a lot of stress. Thermochrome, this is one that is really does help with appetite, but can give you a little stimulant effect. So if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, maybe not for you. Or it's 2 capsules, maybe you just take 1, but you still might notice there's a lot of energy involved with that. So I basically would love to hear from each of you. What is it that what did you get today with you? And I like to word it like that instead of mindful eating, making peace with food. What of things that we spoke, and maybe it wasn't on a PowerPoint, maybe it was just our discussion. What can you do that's going to give you more peace with the food that is in your lives? So I would like us to kind of just close with everybody, and you could take a moment to think about that, and then that'll be our closing.
Just don't overdo it, because I really felt sick this weekend.
So when you say not overdoing it, do you mean at a social gathering?
Yes, it was a social thing,
Okay.
and I
So
had a
how can you?
drink and I had bad things.
How can you do that next time? Will you think about it before you go there?
Because I'll remember how I felt. I don't wanna
And
feel like that.
that's always a good
I
learning.
don't want to feel
opportunity.
like that.
Yeah,
That was yucky.
that's great. Thank you. And anybody that's ready can go.
I think I'd like to keep in mind that chart that you showed about the eating and being just full enough, not too full, not where you're still hungry, not where you're overly full, but find that nice spot, that sweet spot in the middle, and try to make it a point of, getting there and staying there.
Yeah, and Lisa, that is the biggest thing that I can say made a biggest difference in me was
Mhm.
learning to find that place.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a little bit of a journey, but it will come and you'll figure it out, and it's so
Good.
nice, and you're gonna have so many more leftovers, and yeah, it's great.
That's great.
Who else wants to go?
So, next week I'm actually going away on vacation. And, it's just a great reminder to have all of the things that are gonna help me be successful in the little condo that we're gonna be in. So I have like my little grocery list and all of that. So, just so I can be more mindful, yeah.
That's nice. Who else? Kim?
So just for me, I've said this before, is just don't get hungry. If I get hungry, I do bad things.
Especially if you're not prepared.
I love that. I think that's so true. I know. It's great. All right, who else?
This morning I didn't eat a good breakfast like I normally do. And then I ate like 2 helpings of stuff for lunch, like way over 8.
Mhm.
And we talked about, you need to just go, go revisit eating, 3 good meals.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's ever like a mind game too, though, that you ate more because you didn't eat enough for breakfast, or did you really want to eat all?
I wanted to eat more. I was hungry.
I think sometimes with me, I do that. Oh, well, since
was-
I didn't eat much,
Yeah.
like, I don't think about that. I don't need to eat that much at lunch, but
Well, I was traveling because I was away and I came back.
yeah.
So I didn't eat till like 4 o'clock. Like I ate a little something, but I didn't eat till 4 o'clock and I was like,
Oh, yeah, you're ravenous.
Ravenous.
yeah, it was.
Sure.
It's like Kim said, you
Put
don't
it
want
in
to
the
get.
car. I needed to have taken something with me. in the
That's
car.
exactly what happened
I
to
used
me
to
today.
do.
4 o'clock, I was ravenous and I did bad. Why I didn't choose a shake, I do not know.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
chose cheese and crackers instead.
And that's where right, but that's where like at the beginning of the day, right, where we're mapping out the day and making sure we do take a moment to map out the day. Like, because it's just like, I want to run into nice, happy people. I want to be able to be of service, right? I want to be able to nurture myself, right? And because like exactly, cheese and crackers, that's like we were talking about the eggs, right? That's the easy go-to. Cheese and crackers is another one, super easy to go to, but
Easy.
filled with saturated fat, right? Easy to overeat. It's just one of those things, like, I don't know, it's really hard to have one, look, a little dice of inch piece of cheese, right?
But I think, to Carol, I think said to her point, like I was traveling today too. So you're not quite in your element. So you didn't weren't able to quite to plan out your meals today. So it made it harder.
I keep
used
a
to-
jar of nuts.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
keep almonds in my
Nuts
car.
and
and I
actually
didn't have
raise, I
them.
make my own mix with
Yeah.
walnuts and pecans and cashews and almonds and raisins. And I keep them in the car, and that, of course, you have to be careful not to.
You
eat
have to
too
be
many
so
of them, but-
careful.
Yeah.
Right, like
But
for
it's all,
me
yeah,
with
if you have
that,
a handful though, it does kind of
Sure.
hold me over. Yeah.
and then you get them out when you're going to,
Yeah.
and then what I'll do is, if that's the case, I throw it in the back seat.
Yeah.
It's like, you're-
You want to eat the whole jar, yeah. Right.
It's like, because it's like a couple
Yeah.
minutes later, there you go again,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's
Just
like-
because they're there, right.
Now, I forgive myself for using the plastic bags, but I use the little snack zippers. And I put a quarter cup of mix
Okay.
in that,
Uh-huh.
and I have them in a basket on the island with my dad,
The environment people right now.
But that, and like today, I put one in my purse, because I knew when I was at my dad's
See,
doing his
there you
condo,
go.
I'd be hungry, because I was missing lunch.
Uh-huh.
So
See,
I had
yours,
some.
she was prepared.
She would.
So I mean, I've done a lot of little changes like that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna eat the core tablets. I have them, but I.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ditto,
might as well
ditto.
just take
Me too.
them,
I
finish the
forget.
city, you might drop a few pounds,
Thank
like
you.
it might be something that kickstart some.
What is it?
The chocolate covered banana slice.
So,
no.
okay, so everybody, I think everybody went, right? Did Jen Pierpoint go?
No,
Yeah,
I think,
we're waiting on you.
what drives my mindless eating is, well, the social gatherings at times. That's what happened to me this weekend, and, boredom.
Yeah.
So an example of, how could I be mindful with the boredom is probably just plan things out more. Don't get bored, just keep active and not be bored. I guess that's about it.
Okay.
Phone a friend, Jen.
Okay.
You know, when I get bored, I switch to popcorn. So I eat
Yeah, I
pop.
I can't eat popcorn. I have diverticulosis.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I can't eat popcorn.
Yeah, I like popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn, you can just eat a lot of it.
I know, it's like,
Unless you have diabetes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, well, I think, does anybody have anything they want to add or any questions?
Thanks, everybody, for being here, Zoom and in person. It's nice to see so many faces at the meeting.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I think last week we were a little bit late. So, okay, so then we'll see you on hopefully Friday morning. Maybe I think I should be settled if you're around, and if you're not, that's fine. For yoga. And then next week though, Monday is the President's Day, so we're not having yoga or meditation. We're working, if you haven't seen here, we're working on getting some new carpet in the back room, so working on that. And so then we'll see you on the 7th for a final celebration. I will send you over your recipe and sooner than later. And if you feel like you amongst each other, you want to exchange and trade, that's okay. But I'm trying to put just the right recipe, so you'll get that. And then everybody, if you're not able to be there, everybody will get all the recipes. But I'm just gonna first just share your one recipe, and then I guess what I'll do is make it into like a little book. Yeah, I'll make it into like a little book, and then everybody can have it if you wanted to do it for a little dinner party for yourselves. Okay,
So you're gonna email that to us?
yes. Mhm.
Okay.
You'll get it
Okay.
emailed, and then I'll put it in Facebook that, that it's happened, so okay, on Tuesday I got, I'll look and find it, because I know me, I lose some emails, so.
Now I have a question. Are you gonna do measurements again on all of us, or is that just at our individual session?
We can do it on the next meeting. Yeah, we can do it on the 7th. So
Thanks,
just,
Jen.
that will be, then just come in a little bit early, or stay a few minutes late. So we could definitely do that. And if you wanted to do an individual session close to that, we can do that as well. Okay. And then
Yeah,
we'll
I would
announce
say
our,
the 7th.
we'll
Yeah, I would
announce
say 7th.
all of our winners on our next meeting as
And
well.
George, are you also going to talk about what you're going to, like, what the next step is? You said there might be some monthly, because you're not going to start this up right away, so there might be some monthly meetings. Do you have like a time frame, or you think like?
Yeah, so
when are
we're
you gonna
gonna
let
do
us know about
something-
that?
We'll do something in March.
Mhm.
Probably it's gonna be the last week of March. So you all are, invited, bring friends, but then we're gonna take about a half hour before, just for us to check in. We'll see just to keep us on point. And then we'll do something in April and in May. I don't have the dates yet, or even the topics yet, but
Okay.
it'll definitely be of interest. And then most likely we'll start in June. But that way, what I did just reiterate, if you haven't used your sessions, I'm gonna give you till June to finish taking your sessions up. Okay, the goal is, I'm hoping that each of us can go to the one meeting that we're gonna have, but we will have other people there, but there will be time that we can just be
Okay.
together as well.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to see everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 My magic bullet. So. Give me an idea of I have this kale in the freezer.
Did we use
Yeah.
that now? I never use.
I freeze my kale.
But I put it in my
Okay.
smoothie.
Yeah.
What's in there?
You freeze your kale.